Hello, Superboy the Legacy fans. This is your Superboy fact checker, Chris Jacobsen. With me here, as always, is the ever irrepressible Tom Gallagher, and he has brought us a feline companion today.
Yeah, we've just recorded 2 commentaries, but Dave was outside my door meowing, so I thought, I'll let him in.
He is adorable, Tom.
He is a sweetheart, isn't he? Can you hear him purring from there, by the way?
A little bit. It's very low.
I hope people don't mind too much. Fingers crossed they'll find it relaxing. But okay, so yeah, we are watching The Beast and the Beauty today.
Yes, this is episode 7 of season 1. This is a guilty pleasure of yours.
It is.
A little bit of a guilty pleasure for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a particularly great episode, but it's one that I have a real soft spot for. I really like this one a lot. So yeah, we mentioned it on one of the other commentaries. I think the mutant commentary, maybe.
Yeah.
So we thought, what the hell? We'll record 3 commentaries today instead of 2. So
yep.
Yeah. So just to let everybody know, in case this is the first time you've actually found us, this isn't like a typical reaction video you see on YouTube. You will not be seeing any of the actual episode itself here.
Right.
You will need your own copy of the show to watch alongside us. We will count you in as a 3, 2, 1 play. And yeah, if you hit play at the same time as we say the word play, theoretically we should all be in sync. But yeah, so here we go with Superboy Season 1, Episode 7, The Beast and the Beauty. We'll count you in 3, 2, 1, play. Now, I'm trying to remember, is this the original title sequence, or at some point is it going to change?
No, this is the original. It's the original bridge version. As good as he was at, with the flying sequences, I think Gerard did it a little bit better.
I agree. I like that John had this whole sort of kung fu sort of thing going when he was flying. Yeah. I thought that was an interesting way to do it, but it doesn't quite work for me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Especially like when he does his landing and he sort of goes like that as he lands, and it's sort of, doesn't quite work for me. But overall, he did a good job, though.
Yeah. I still would have loved to have seen what he would have done with, the character, going forward if they allowed him. Oh, directed by Jackie Cooper.
Yeah. Was this before or after Invisible People? I'm trying to remember where that episode...
I think this was after Invisible People. So he got to do 3 episodes of season 1. He got to do Invisible People. He got to do this one. And then, of course... our favorite, Kryptonite Kills.
Well, he did a better job at directing on this episode.
Yeah.
Than, Invisible People. Not that that's particularly difficult to do.
And another appearance by our favorite police officer, Lieutenant Harris.
Indeed. The one that I'd somehow Mandela affected myself into thinking he was Henderson. But, I don't know how that happened. At some point, my memory, I just always thought of him as Henderson, and I guess I just by having watched the episode so many times, like, you
know. Reality is bleeding in. And that is something you don't see in TV shows anymore. Indoor smoking.
Indeed.
Then again, you don't even see it outdoors anymore on TV.
No, it's funny how that seems to have disappeared. I realise that, you don't want to be seen as encouraging smoking, but it's still very much a thing that a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Not as many as used to, but it's.
Yeah, although as the line from a recent Superman miniseries, Superman and the Authorities, goes, people don't smoke anymore. They vape.
Yeah. And I think the only reason vaping became as popular as it was is because it was legal to do indoors.
Yeah.
Never understood it myself. I mean, I'm a smoker, but I don't like smoking indoors, even when I'm allowed.
Yeah. I still don't see how anybody could confuse him with Superboy.
Yeah. And as I said to you before we started recording as well, the guy playing the Superboy imposter, I swear, does look a little bit like a young Nicolas Cage. And it always makes me laugh because it makes me think of Superman Lives. And it's the only way he could be confused for the real Superboy is if it was the Nicolas Cage Superman.
Yeah.
It's the only time it would work.
Such great filming of the chase sequence here.
Which makes you wonder why the chase sequence in Invisible People was so much worse.
Maybe,
same director.
Maybe between Invisible People and this, Jackie Cooper realized, I messed up.
Yeah. It's funny because isn't there a light blue van in Invisible People in that chase sequence as well? I wonder if it's even the same van.
Probably.
Or is that another case of my memory failing me and I'm merging?
Well, if it is a light blue van, it's probably the same van.
Yeah, they did a good job with this chase sequence. Now, to me, if I was Clark, I would have done that to the van to stop the thieves getting away,
Yeah. Maybe he didn't get a clear enough shot at the thieves.
Maybe. That is one of the better moments of John as Clark. He really did a good job there. But then it's immediately followed up with the skateboard.
Yeah.
Which he did, I don't know why he needed the skateboard. I guess it was 1988. Skateboarding was popular because of Back to the Future. And
yeah. Yeah, definitely a better directing job on this than the previous one that Jackie Cooper did.
Yeah, and it's not even close as well. It's so much better. Like you almost wouldn't even believe it's the same director. But then I don't know. Maybe there were different directors of photography on each episode. Just the cinematographer might have been different episode to episode.
Yeah.
Or they were running out of time and they had to just shoot it quickly and get it over with because they were running out of money or something. I don't know. Could be any number of reasons why this one's so much better. Makes me laugh as well because it's like if he was guilty, yeah, why would they let him bring him in? You know.
That sequence is just so great.
Yeah. I love that. He had to give him a quarter for the phone. Which is funny because, again, if he was guilty, he'd have all the money he needs, probably.
Yeah.
See, I've got to write into season 5 that the oval on his belt opens and he can keep a few dollars in there for emergencies.
Yeah, I think John Byrne did that what you're talking about in Man of Steel. He put a couple he made the buckle hollow so he could carry a couple extra bucks around just in case.
I've already established as well that his cape has a pocket in it, like some of the comics. Kryptonian technology, though, so it doesn't weigh down.
Yeah.
He keeps all his clothes in there.
So it's more like a tesseract.
It's like the Doctor's pockets in Doctor Who. His pockets are bigger on the inside, just like the TARDIS.
I wonder, does he keep any jelly babies in there?
Probably.
Come on.
That's a nice line from Stacey. Well, Lana. I realise it's a little bit of a trope now. It's that, as they say on Reddit, it's the not like other girls trope. But, it works.
Gotta say, though, that whole sequence that we just saw where everybody was clapping, could they have been any less enthusiastic?
Yeah, they're very calm, aren't they, for an audience? Just,
Especially that guy in the front with the white shirt.
Yeah, they're all just sort of smiling. It's like they've gone to the theatre. They're like, upper class British people going to the theatre, and it's all very
when they're
proper.
doing a golf clap.
Yeah. Well done, that man. I do think that is the same van from Invisible People. Provided I'm not wrong and I've just confused the memory somehow.
Mm. No, I don't think it is the same van, because I think the one in the previous episode was a black minivan.
No, maybe then. I've obviously just confused it because in my head I knew this was one of the other Jackie Cooper episodes,
Mm.
and yeah. Then again, maybe that blue van is in a completely different episode, and I am just confusing it with something else.
Mm.
Low budget shows, I'm sure they reused vehicles all the time.
Yeah, he definitely does look like a young Nicolas Cage.
He does. Especially like from a distance. I realise if this show was actually remastered in HD, he might not look quite as much like him. But in the quality of the DVDs, yeah. I did first notice that though when I was watching on my original bootleg DVDs, which are even worse quality still. So
Right.
maybe there it really was close. See, that was a third Superboy as well.
Yeah.
That was clearly a different stuntman. Maybe that's how we can be confused. He's a shapeshifter. Thing that just makes me laugh though. He wears that suit so he's not recognized when he, goes and does a robbery. So they think it's Superboy. Now he's just wearing it to impress his girl, but it clearly doesn't fit him. He's clearly too skinny for it.
Yeah.
I wonder, what was he thinking? Nice stock footage of a plane there.
Yeah.
Still, this show did use stock footage quite well, I must admit.
Especially season 1. So.
Mm. Also, the season 3 opener. When you see the rocket, you told me that's from a completely different show, and they just
Yeah, that's from the show Super Force, which was part of the Super Hour.
Pretty cool that they, obviously they must have paid to reuse it. I'm sure they didn't have it in the budget to actually make a shot just for the title sequence, so it was a smart decision.
Yeah, and you know that they couldn't use the footage from the movie, even though it was used by Salkind.
I mean, I wonder if the Salkinds had the rights to use that footage if they wanted to, though. They probably would have had to pay Richard Donner and everybody that worked on that sequence.
Well, it's either that or, Warner Brothers said, no, you can't use it because it's owned by us.
See, I would have been happy with them just stealing a shot from Supergirl.
Yeah.
Where she's flying to Earth in her ship. Like, you'd have to be careful not to make it a shot where you can tell that it's Helen Slater in the ship, but I'd be fine with it. Or just make a new one, Again, just a really creative way to trap the villain where he can't get away. Just a really, I love that they obviously somebody writing this, whoever wrote this episode, must have known that this thing was there and that they were able to use it and just wrote it into the story. It's just, it adds so much production value for probably what was very little money. I love this sequence.
It just proves how stupid Hugo is.
You can tell that this suit doesn't fit him as well because the S looks so much bigger.
Yeah.
Oh. Shame the edges on the green screen there. They aren't wonderful, but you know what? This episode is a lot better than I remember. There are a lot of really good moments in this episode.
And you know, just John's acting right in that sequence is so good.
Mm. It's funny because people say that John Newton didn't get as much of the Clark Kent comedy moments, but I think this episode proves that he did. He didn't go quite as absurd with it as Gerard did in season 2.
Yeah,
because like you had that scene with the tire rolling it into the river. I thought that was really funny, and then obviously that very small moments, but it's very Clark Kent, and I like it. I would have liked to have seen her return, since she's a love interest for Clark, potentially. You know, it's not the most interesting love interest, but I think it's a shame that so many of them disappear and never come back.
Yeah, like
Miss Danner.
Sarah Danner, yes.
Yeah. But brilliant episode as far as I'm concerned, for season 1 anyway. Yeah, I think that episode's actually gone up in my estimation of how good it is. You know, it's still not, you know, it's not among the best of the show, but it's still very, very enjoyable. And
yeah, I mean, it. You know, it's definitely better than, you know. Oh, actually, looking at the list here, The Invisible People is actually on the next disc.
oh, so this was first. So
this was first.
Unless they shot Invisible People first and just aired them out of order, maybe. Because I
Mm.
mean, let's face it, they did that a fair bit in season 1. Like even the pilot was aired so much later. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, if this was shot first, then that means that Jackie Cooper went up, down, up.
Yeah. I wonder if he, you know, maybe he just didn't like Invisible People as a story as much. Maybe his heart just wasn't in it, or again, maybe they were running out of money. Maybe they just were running out of time and they just had to shoot it as quickly as possible and just hope for the best, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, it had a great guest star. I mean, Greg Morris.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the Invisible and the Mission Impossible, you know, alum right there.
You know, I don't dislike the villain in Invisible People. Even I think he overacts it a little bit, but I don't really care.
He doesn't overact it to the point of, you know, being as bad as Scott Wells.
Yeah, thankfully. But you know, it's not the best villain, but I think he does a serviceable job. I don't think he's bad necessarily. There's a lot of it's weird. Invisible People is like this bizarre case study where it's like there's so many little things that went wrong, that it's impossible to pinpoint and say this is the prime reason why this is a bad episode, because there's not one singular big reason why it sucks. It's lots of little reasons all adding together to make just kind of a stinker.
Yeah.
But this episode proves that Jackie Cooper directing Superboy, like, is you know, I don't know if he did shoot this first or second. Like, maybe it's the sort of thing we'll have to ask Mike Carlin. Maybe he might know the answer. But obviously,
yes,
I would ask Jackie Cooper himself, but obviously that's not possible.
Yeah.
But
so, Mike Carlin, if you are watching, which we know you are,
we hope.
If you have any insight into this, which we know you probably do, if you could just, maybe put a comment and let us know, was this episode, Beast and Beauty, shot before The Invisible People, or was it shot after? If you recall, I know your memory
He may
from,
not,
from
he
30
didn't
years
write the
ago may not
episode,
be the
so.
greatest.
Yeah. And it's not an episode he wrote, so
Yeah. But we know he was involved with the show at this time.
Oh
so.
yeah.
So if you know,
he was involved. I think he's the only writer that was involved consistently for all 4 seasons, which is part of the reason why we've so much respect for him, because he is one of the few that were there for all 4 seasons.
Yep.
And he wrote some of the best stuff as well. It's like, the Alien trilogy, as I call it, and Mindscape, and we'll be here all day if I just start. I'll probably end up just listing every one of his episodes.
Which I'm sure he'll love.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a really good episode. I mean, as it goes for season 1, it's probably one of the better ones.
Yeah.
It's not great, and we're not going to say it's a great episode. As you've always said, it's a pleasure.
It's a great episode for season 1.
Yeah.
That's the best compliment I can give it. It's great for season 1. It's serviceable any other season,
Yeah.
If this was an episode in season 3, it would be seen as one of the worst of season 3.
Yeah.
It just happens that season 1, there are fewer great episodes in season 1. They exist. There's just not as many of them. But,
yeah, I mean, this one is probably. I mean, if you look at the list that and I'm looking at the list of episodes on the disc. 1 through 8, we've got Jewel Technical, Kind of Princess, Back to Oblivion, Russian Exchange Student, Countdown to Nowhere, Bringing Down the House, The Beast and Beauty, and then The Fixer. Okay, so obviously Jewel Technical is kind of. It has its moments where it's great. It has its moments.
It's fine, I think there's just as good. There's just as much good in it as there is bad. So it's sort of just a middle episode.
And we all know what the bad in it is.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of bad in it. It's not even just Scott Wells' fault. Like.
Yeah. A Kind of Princess. That is a great episode.
I love that episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've got Ed Winter playing Mr. Danner. I mean, he is so great.
Yeah.
As a ruthless gangster, he's so great. Julie McCullough, and I hope, Julie, you are watching us. I know you are.
We're definitely going to try and get her on the show at some point. I think it'd be interesting to talk to her.
Yeah.
Sure.
But you were great as Sarah Danner. We love you as that.
I like Back to Oblivion as well. It's not a great episode, but I like the actor that plays the guy in the junkyard. Yeah, Abe Vigoda. I just like that actor. So it was great to see him in. And I think, maybe he overplayed it a tiny bit during one part, but I think overall he was very good in it. And you really do feel for him.
Yeah, and it's the definite change from the way he used to play Fish on Barney Miller. So
see, I never watched Barney Miller. I know him from the movie Good Burger, starring Kenan and Kel.
Well, if you ever get
he's so funny in that movie. Like he doesn't get nearly enough credit for that movie. But he's really funny.
If you ever get the chance to, you got to watch Barney Miller, especially the episodes with him as Detective Fish. I mean, he is so ridiculous with some of the things he says.
I'll definitely have to check it out at some point. I'll keep a lookout for it on Netflix or BBC iPlayer. Sometimes put some older shows on there
Yeah,
occasionally. It's very rare, but I'll keep a lookout. Maybe
yeah,
it'll go on Amazon Prime at some point. Who knows?
yeah. The Russian exchange student. I mean, it's a good episode. I mean,
Hmm.
the best part about it is probably Ray Walston as the professor. You know, I mean, the
It's a
girl.
good episode. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, but it's serviceable. It's completely fine. It's not a
Yeah,
bad episode by any stretch.
yeah.
But
The girl playing the Russian exchange student. I mean, her accent is just so awful.
yeah,
I don't believe that she's actually Russian.
no, I don't think anyone does. But
Countdown to Nowhere, we've gone over multiple times why that's so
yeah,
good.
I mean, after the Beast and the Beauty or Beast and Beauty we just watched, comes the Fixer, the Alien Solution, which are a great episode. But then we got Troubled Waters, which isn't one of my favorites. Invisible People. But then you go Kryptonite Kills, Revenge of the Alien, Revenge of the
Yeah.
Alien Part 2, and that's a pretty good 3-episode run there. And Stand Up and Get Knocked Down isn't one of my favorites. I know some people really dislike that episode, but
It's okay.
it's fine, you know.
Yeah.
But then Meet Mixers Pitlick and Bird Woman of the Swamps is kind of a terrible episode, actually.
That episode feels like it was written more for the first part of season one.
Yeah, you could easily see that fitting alongside Invisible People quite easily.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a bit better than Invisible People though.
Slightly, yeah. It's still it's not one I particularly like to watch. Terror from the Blue, again, very forgettable episode in my opinion.
Although Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa is great as Detective Slade in it.
Yeah. War of the Species. I don't even remember what War of the Species is.
That's the one with the robot.
Right, yeah. It's fine. Not a particularly memorable one. I'd even forgotten what it was. Little Hercules is a bad episode, but it's it's got Joaquin Phoenix in it, so it's memorable just for that. Phantom of the Third Division, Black Flamingo. You've got Succubus as well. I mean, the only out of the last couple, Hollywood and Luther Unleashed are excellent, but the rest of them, not
Phantom
really.
of the Third Division's not so bad. I mean, it's one of those episodes that it deals with something very poignant, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, although they didn't call it that at that point. And
I mean, Back to Oblivion was partly about that. Abe Vigoda's character was destroyed, like his mind was kind of broken from war. I think it was. Was it Vietnam? He was a veteran of.
He was a Holocaust survivor.
Oh, so even worse, yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I'm comparing atrocities.
Yeah.
Saying one's worse than the other. They're all disgusting and horrible, but
Yeah. But Phantom of the Third Division, that's Korean War. And Joseph Campanella, who most sci-fi fans will remember him from being the voice of Dr. Connors on the Spider-Man animated series of the 90s.
That's cool.
He was so good in it.
Maybe that's another one I'll have to go back and give another try at some point. I don't remember thinking it was anything special, but I mean,
it's not special, but it's a lot better when it comes to the episodes that talk about actual problems and actual real world events. It's better. It's definitely better than the Invisible People.
It's not difficult though, is it?
Yeah,
it's pretty difficult to be worse than Invisible People. Like
Little Hercules.
I still think Little Hercules is slightly better. I mean, it's just a War Games ripoff, but it's fine. It's I don't hate Little Hercules. I just
although that sequence, that dream sequence where young Joaquin Phoenix is in,
he's in the suit
costume.
That's great.
Got that.
I really like that. Like, I wonder if he does. That's interesting. I kind of wish, because like when Joker was coming out and going on all those press interviews and answering all these questions about Joker and stuff, I kind of wish that just one of the journalists was aware of Superboy and would ask him about it, just to say, this is actually your second foray into the DC universe. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of makes me wish I'd actually trained to be a journalist so I could get in on stuff like that, so I could just remind people that Superboy existed.
Well, they just put out the first few shots of Joker 2, so maybe somebody will ask him.
Maybe. Mike Carlin, if you're still working at Warner Brothers, can you get us an interview with Joker and Phoenix? We'll just ask him nothing about Joker and just ask him all about Little Hercules. But
gotta say, this is probably very embarrassing for him, this show.
I doubt it, really. I mean, he was a kid and it was paid work, and it's not the best episode in the world, but I mean, it's not that much different to playing the Joker now.
Yeah,
as far as I'm concerned. Like, one of them, you're literally dressed as a clown.
Yeah.
So it's, but anyway, I think we should wrap it up there.
Absolutely. So, guys, just want to say thank you for sitting with us and listening to us kvetch.
Yeah. For us rambling on, especially for our little tangents at the end. We always seem to do.
Tom,
I don't mind
it. Part of it. That's all part of it.
I'm not mad at it. I'm hoping the people watching aren't too mad at us for it. We just genuinely love this stuff. And as we have a conversation about nerdy stuff, other nerdy shit tends to crop up. And, I think we'd actually be doing a disservice to the people watching to cut all that shit out, to be honest, because I think it's fun.
Yep.
And it's always stuff that is, it gives one more opportunity. If you want to leave us a comment and stuff and actually talk about stuff that we've talked about, even in the tangents, that's fine, because we welcome that conversation. It gives us material to talk about in later episodes of the podcast, even if we want to refer back to stuff that, feedback that we've gotten.
Yeah, it gives us another batch of viewer mail.
Exactly. And so thank you all again so much for watching. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, leave us comments. Like we say, we read all the comments, we respond to a lot of them, and you may even get a shout out in a future episode of the podcast as well, because we have just done an episode where we did exactly that. So,
yep.
Yeah. Thank you all. Goodbye.
See you guys.